Howdy there, folks. Welcome to our webinar here today. My name is Ken Weston. I'm a solutions engineer here with LimaCharlie. Today, we're going to be discussing beyond data routing / SIEM costs with LimaCharlie's security observability pipeline. Now, there are going to be a few slides. I just kind of like to walk through a few concepts and some sort of ideas in terms of architecture and how some of this is implemented. We'll also be showing some pretty neat new features that we have, particularly when it comes to our external adapters. So we'll be walking through that a little bit. Towards the end, I'm also going to be talking about some of the events that LimaCharlie is going to be at. We are traveling worldwide. I'm actually going to be in Dublin in a week or two. But I'll kind of walk through first the content, and I'll do a quick demo. And yeah. So just to kind of give you an idea of what we want to talk about today, when we talk about LimaCharlie, a lot of times people are kind of wonder, what is it? I hear a lot about you. I hear that you are an EDR solution. I hear you're a SIEM, and we're a little bit of everything. We are a security operations platform where we can actually fulfill most security use cases around EDR, SIEM, cloud security, you name it, without having to be a point solution. So we can actually replace some of those point solutions that you may have, or we can also augment them. Particularly when it comes to high volume data sources, people really find that LimaCharlie is much more cost-effective solution, primarily because of how we're able to store data efficiently and also make use of it throughout our platform. So when we talk about LimaCharlie, we always like to refer to it sort of as a box of Legos. Oftentimes it's not going to be, a complete solution. It's a black box that you can't configure. Really, we allow you to do a lot of customization within our platform. The majority of our customers are actually MSSPs because they like our ability to leverage our multi-tenancy. They also are able to do everything that you can do in our UI with an API, and it's highly scalable. A lot of other platforms that are out there, whether it's a SIEM, they weren't really designed for cloud. They were actually designed on-prem, and then they were retooled and re-architected for cloud. And so they're not really able to do the multi-tenancy. They're not able to scale like that you might be able to see with our platform. So we're going to talk a little bit about observability. So, I worked in the security space for quite a while. I actually worked for a company where we actually did both security as well as observability, particularly in the AppSec and DevOps world. And so when people hear about observability, usually think about sources like with not just log sources, but also metrics and traces. So today we're going to be talking more specifically about security observability pipelines, particularly when it comes to SIEM. So when we look at sort of the pipeline and sort of the process that it goes through, first, we're going to start with data sources. So this will include application logs, firewall logs, all the logs that you can imagine. Now, over the last few decades, as we've had SIEM, like I think ArcSight's old enough to drink now. It's like one of the first SIEMs on the market. It's over 22 years old. It was a very different environment, right? We had things that were on-prem. We had very minimal data sets. We had strong correlation engines, but we weren't really doing searches across terabytes of data like we are dealing with today. Now we have SaaS applications. We have cloud infrastructure logs. The volume of logs is just increasing exponentially. Then we need to be able to collect those logs, and there's a lot of different ways that we can leverage that. Within LimaCharlie, we have our own EDR agents that we can deploy to endpoints that are across platform, Mac, Windows, Linux, Docker, Chrome, you name it. We support it. We also have adapters where we can actually deploy those to bring in things like syslog, which I'll be demonstrating today. We can also bring in logs from via APIs as well as cloud buckets. There's several different ways we can ingest logs into our platform. Once we're able to get that into the platform, we want to be able to do quite a bit of processing. It's no longer just, bring it into the SIEM and store it for, 30 days, 90 days, whatever the compliance requirement is. We actually need to do some additional parsing, usually because log formats are in a lot of different formats, all the different schemas that are out there. We can also do enrichment. For example, if we want to maybe get GeoIP information and augment the log with that, we want to be able to do that and maybe incorporate threat intelligence. We also want to be able to filter data. Now, this is becoming increasingly important. Now, being able to filter data so we don't store, everything, only the logs that actually are important to us, that can actually provide us with a lot of savings. And then we can also, of course, do those transformations as well. So if we want to bring that data into a data lake, another SIEM, or we want to maybe send that alert to GitHub, Slack, we need to be able to have that flexibility within our security operations platform. And then, of course, we can then route that to maybe a legacy SIEM of your choice. Maybe you have a Splunk or Elastic that maybe corporate security really likes. You can also maybe send that to GitHub if it's more on the application security side. We can then also bring it into other security tools, right? So this is common where we may want to send maybe false positives, or we want to tune alerts, things like that automatically. Having the flexibility to do that through our routing layer is critically important. And then, of course, we may want to route that to dashboards. We may want to make it a little bit prettier, maybe even ingest that into like a BI type of tool, right? So it's really important that all the way through this pipeline that we actually have quite a bit of flexibility. So when we look at LimaCharlie, when we look at our SIEM data pipeline, so again, we're able to bring in logs from any format. If it generates logs, we're going to be able to bring it into our platform. Whether it is a common tool, we have a number of different integrations already developed into the platform out of the box. Or if you have a custom log, maybe an application log that you're running, or some sort of strange tool that no one else has really leveraged or built a parser for, we're going to be able to still bring those logs into our platform. We can also bring it in from your endpoints, your containers, your network, and pretty much every single cloud platform or SaaS application, we're going to be able to bring those logs in. And then directly within the LimaCharlie platform, not only can we write detections, but we can also write transforms. We can do enrichment. We can analyze and filter. We can mask it. So if you want to, block out, potentially sensitive information when you're doing your ingest, you can do that as well. And then, of course, we have our data retention. A lot of folks don't realize that LimaCharlie actually provides 1 full year of data retention, whether that telemetry is coming in from your endpoint agents, or if it's coming in from adapter or any other source, we are going to be able to ingest that. And we do it in a very efficient manner. So we're able to do that quite a bit cheaper than some of the legacy platforms that are out there on the market. And we pass those savings on to you, which is critically important, particularly for our customers, who are majority of them are MSSPs, and they need to be able to have those margins. We can then send output to pretty much any platform. Again, we can bring those into observability monitoring tools. You can archive it, data warehouse. If you want to offload it to a different bucket on like AWS, you can definitely do that. And you may also have that integrated with more incident response and alerting capabilities. And so I'm going to kind of go through a little bit of what our demo is going to look like. In this demo, I'm going to be showing us a newer feature that we've enabled called our external adapters. Now, we have our endpoint agents, and then we have our adapters. So adapters are ways of bringing in logs from maybe a server that we're not deploying an endpoint agent to. We may want to aggregate logs, for example, to a particular server. And oftentimes what we do there is we would have a configuration file that sits along that. And so with external adapters, what we've done is we've moved that configuration actually into our web UI, or into the application itself. So here you can see that I actually have my configuration here. And then what I've done is I can deploy the configuration unique identifier, and then the organizational ID that I just pass in. It'll automatically go up to LimaCharlie. It'll see the configuration file and it'll download it, and it'll follow those particular rules, right? So this is a very efficient way for us to actually deploy across multiple servers. So in my example, I might actually have a number of honeypots that I've actually deployed these adapters to. And what's nice about this is I can control the configuration of all of those systems through one single rule. So I can do that directly here in this adapter. So I just want to show sort of an overview of this particular architecture before I jump into it. Now, if you want to follow along at home, I actually did build a guide that sort of walks through how I set up my external adapter. So if you would like to take a look at that, if you're an existing customer or if you're a new customer, this is a great time to mention that we do have a free community edition of LimaCharlie. Simply go to free.limacharlie.io. You can sign up there. You can create 2 orgs and deploy 2 sensors. It has all the features that I'm showing here. So it's not like there's any feature you don't have visibility to in that community edition. So you can actually follow along a little bit at home. Or if you want this to consider it more like homework, that could be another option as well. But this guide will walk you through how to create that external adapter. It also includes some sample configurations as well that you might want to consider for your deployment. So let's jump into the demo. So when I get into my LimaCharlie instance here, I'm going to go into my sensors. And if I want to, this is where I can go create an external adapter. Now, to do this, all I have to do is configure permissions. I don't have to add an extension or anything like that. It's simply, if I'm an admin in my organization, I simply create permissions. There's 4 of them. Again, it's in the guide that I shared earlier. And so it's very easy to create one. I have one that's already been set up. And so this is a really basic one where I kind of go through and again, syslog. We just have some configurations like installation keys, things like that, and they'll generate a GUID. And so what I've done is I've already deployed this out. I'll show you here. I am actually have my, this is my adapter that's running here. I just want to make sure it's still running. So if I go back into my environment, I can then see my sensor list. I see that that is live. I scroll down here and there is my adapter. And if I go into the live feed, I should be able to see some live events that as they pull in. While I wait for that, if I go here into my timeline, and this is where I can also see these events. Now, this is a lot of data because I'm running multiple honeypots, right? And I'm actually sending all the logs. So in this particular case, I'm just sending every single event that I possibly can. I'm not running any sort of detections at this point. This is a honeypot, so you actually see there's a lot of people that are trying to log into this environment. If I want to, I can click into one of these events, and then from here, I could go ahead and I can build a detection and response rule if I would like. It actually takes that sample log file and I could write a detection. Right now, I'm just getting sort of visibility. I want all of these events. So I'm not really writing detections right now, but this could be part of my sort of workflow. I go through, I have my honeypots, I start to look at the logs, and then I say, hey, this is something I should probably write a detection rule for, and I could go about it and I could do that. Now, if I go back, I can configure an output. So if I go into my outputs here, so as I have that data coming in, I could actually create a custom output. So at this point, these are all considered events. So I can click into events. And if I wanted to, I could send this to an S3 bucket, for example. I can enter in some my information here, just give it a name. If I have the bucket name already set up, there's a key, could do all that. And then here's where I could actually have a custom transform. I'm going to show you another one where I actually have a custom transform here. This is where I actually have some transforms that I'm actually running. If I wanted to, I could send this to Slack. This one, I'm sending it out just this website hook when just looking at what the output looks like. But this is where I can actually, in my transform, I could limit to maybe only a few fields that I might need and send it out to, I could send it to like a database, I could send it to a bucket. I have the flexibility to really send that data anywhere. And I can also filter that information. But then I'd also have that data stored in LimaCharlie as a backup. So if I need like a system of record, I would have that available to me as well. So I hope that was sort of helpful. This is really easy for you to set up. Again, I recommend taking a look at the guide that I provided. It's a really great way to get started in this. And with that, that's pretty much it for the demo and the content today. We are going to be busy here. We have a tour coming up. We're going to be doing a Defenders tour in June. We have B-Sides Dublin in May. I'll be out there giving a workshop, hands-on. Looking forward to that. We'll also be in Copenhagen, and we have some other tours that are coming up as well with our Defender tour. So I hope we can see some of you folks live. We'll be going through some of these types of exercises, hands-on, providing some really interesting use cases. We'll also be bringing in some of our partners, and I look forward to working with them. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and give you folks the rest of your time back. And thank you so much for attending. Thank you.